So, you know that Steve Martin movie, The Jerk. I really managed to wrench my back this morning. Just moving stuff around again. But I wanted to do a follow-up, kind of wrap up maybe, because I left it at just, I got the sounds going and it's not really done. And that's the thing that I have realized about a studio. I mean, I kind of already knew that, but I realized that, you know, making your studio is a lot like making a piece of music in that it's never really done. The difference would be that with a piece of music, at a certain point, it either has to be part of an album, if it's going to be released, if you're going to do anything with it, it has to be part of an album or a project or something like this. And at that point, it has to be basically done. And then you can kind of set that one aside and say, never listen to that again. That's what I do anyway. Sort of. But with a studio, it's not like that. I mean, every day you're in it, and every day there are areas where, you know, something doesn't work right, or something's not so good, or you just kind of intuitively know that, like, this is not the best this could be. And so while all of this, it looks good, if you look around here, I like how everything is, and I would say that it is 90%, 95, 90% done. It's there. But there are definitely areas that that need work, and I think I have some ideas. For one thing, this area here with the seamless backdrop on the Manfrotto auto poles, I realized that there's no need for this to go all the way up to the ceiling. These are pretty high ceilings, and I never really shoot something that would be this narrow as this is, maybe 52 inches, but requiring this much height. Like, I'm not going to shoot straight up like that, or if I did, that would be pretty unusual. I don't need that. So what I realized I can do is this assembly up here that holds the 3 rollers on the extension mechanisms. I can bring that down maybe 3 or 4 feet, and then I have 3 or 4 feet above them with the auto poles available for attachment points. So what I was thinking that I could do is one of these lights, these aperture Amaran lights that I have in here, I could put that on a Manfrotto super clamp with a mounting post and clamp that above the roller assembly, and that would eliminate one stand on the floor for any of the lighting. And I think I could have at least one softbox up there on one side, maybe 2, and that's a simple, easy thing to do. Just get out a ladder and move those down, clamp that up there, done. So that's one idea. The other idea, or problem, I should say, is all of this. And this area is not so good. It hasn't been good for a long time, and it's kind of one of those, it's one of those areas in the studio where, like, every time you go to it, you recognize, like, that's a problem, that's no good, it's been like that. And so I've been meaning to build something there because it's a very specific space that's left open. This area over here with these metal shelvings, we're going to open some stuff right now, and things that I have purchased to help organize this area. Labels, label making. So my new way of going forward for the organization, I've been watching a lot of videos with different ideas about how to do this. I was looking at how they did it on, if you remember the show Mythbusters, the studio that they used there was called M5. And if you recall, they had this whole wall of plastic bins, but the great thing about it was everything was clearly labeled. And I've been noticing this from like Tom Sachs studio, Casey Neistat studio, Adam Savage studio. They're really big on having a label right out there in front so that you see, you don't have to open up the case, like you can just know what's in there. And that is helpful. And not just like you have to go to the case and like look at it, pick it up and like, but like from the other side of the room, you can go, that's in here, this is in here, this is here, this is here, this is here. That's what I want. Okay, so that's where we're at. So let's look at some of these items here and see how it's all gonna work, because I got a lot of stuff still. And while all of this looks really nice, and it is, I'm happy with it, very happy with it. This, on the other hand, not so good. What is all of that? Well, it's a combination of things that need to be organized and hopefully ways to organize them. Remember how I said my back? Well, these are heavy, and they are heavy because they are filled with so much. It's all of these kind of pieces here, but then on the opposite side here, I have other things like unused papers, things like this. So these are basically prepped to make stuff. Here's one with just the gesso. They can go somewhere that's out of the way, that's not, so that they're not interspersed with the finished artwork pieces. And then maybe they won't be quite so heavy. So that's one idea. Hence, a couple more of these. And one item we could go ahead right now and open up. I was going to save this. Hold on. But okay, so I figure we might as well just go ahead and get into it with some of these items here. These are magnetic hooks that I got at Harbor Freight, and they come in various colors, and I got these whites to go on the adjustable height table. My thought was you could put XLR cables in here, you could put you know, whatever, you could hang headphones on here as well. And I like that they're magnetic, so it's not like I have to drill something into the sheet metal and then it's permanently there, or either if you move it, you've got a hole left there. This way you can kind of, if you want to rearrange things, because you never know, that works out pretty well. Let's go ahead and open these up. These are nice. I thought, you know, it would be great instead of just kind of piling them all up there next to the shelving, to get a couple more of these magnets, and for the ones that aren't so heavy, I could hang those from the front here and then have the curtain over it with the drums in front, which would be easier to access and keep them off the floor. So that's that. Magnetic hooks, number one. These are U.S. General magnetic hook, 25-pound pull force, non-marring magnet, reduces chance of scratching or damaging to cart. I didn't even notice that part. I only noticed that when I picked it up, and it is non-marring. Very nice. Okay, that's one thing. So the next thing that I had was all of these various markers, pens, pencils, brushes. They're scattered everywhere. I found this. This is actually a Better Homes and Garden vanity organizer. It's made of bamboo, and this came from that very evil big box store that nobody likes, and I don't like them either, but I buy a lot of stuff there. In fact, all of this came from there. But it was kind of just what I wanted. So this Better Homes and Garden vanity organizer, 10 inches wide, 6.25 inches deep, by 5 inches in height. And I like that it's made out of wood, bamboo, and it has a lot of different spaces there that seem to be just perfect for pens and pencils and markers and various mark making utensils. So more of these plastic bins, and these are basically, the idea with these was to put my angle grinder and my oscillating multi-tool, whatever that thing is, but that thing is great. Those tools are cutting into material usually that is, it's going to make a mess. So the tool itself gets very messy, and to have it in a room like this with all these other audio equipment things, you know, it's not like just in a regular shop. So I thought, put those in some plastic bins, and kind of keep it a little cleaner. I have all kinds of fasteners everywhere. 10, number 6, ½ inch, 10, number 6, 3/4, number 6, 1 inch, number 8, ½ inch. Nice to have this to carry around to if you're working somewhere else, but so far as organizing it in with all your other things, not so much. So that is where these come in. The other thing that's really nice about these is that they are stackable. So you can put a couple here. Here's another example. Although it turns into like an IQ test to be able to open these. More the same, and here's an example of one where they're all in these little, you know, a lot of these fasteners, like I may not need, it might not be something that I keep in stock all the time. Like I may not need a lot, like those number 8, 1.5 inch sheet metal screws, the flathead, I need a lot of those all the time. I want to have those, but whatever this is in here, I probably don't need to buy more of those, but just in case, I want it labeled so that I can just go to the hardware store and buy what I need. And the great thing about this method, it doesn't have to be just one box that's just filled with one thing, because that's one of my problems, is like I might not have enough, say, small MIDI cables. I've got small MIDI cables and then some MIDI cable adapters, like MIDI to 1/8 inch adapters. I can put all of that in one bin, and then that's all the MIDI things, and then a 2-channel MIDI interface can go in the same bin, and it's just labeled MIDI. But then there are other examples of, like, well, there's all kinds of stuff, but the point being is you don't have to have just one thing in a bin, but like items in one bin. The thing that I liked about these was the top, you have these areas here. So for example, it could be like 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch adapters, or vice versa, any kind of those type of adapters that you use, whatever, adapters. And then this top tray, for example, if this were going to be MIDI cables, you could put the those MIDI, 5-pin MIDI to 1/8 inch adapters. You could put those in the top here so they don't get lost in with all the other MIDI cabling, and then the rest of the cabling in here. So very useful. And then if you just need more space in there, you can toss this, and it's not that big, and they're not very expensive, so that's always a plus. The point being is there are a lot of organizational options out there, and I think it's time for me to use some of them. One more item that I got is I'm often carrying tools around to, you know, I'll need to like get the drill and this and that and put it all together, making multiple trips. It'd be nice to just be able to put it all in one space and go. These fasteners I got when we lived in New York, and that would have probably been 2012. And they have lived in this cardboard box, moved around to storage units, outbuildings, garage, closet. Most of the time, I never really know where they are. And these are really nice. I'll show you why. Let's talk about jam nuts. And no, I don't mean playing rhythm changes at 400 BPM for 8 hours straight. I mean jam nuts, fasteners. These fasteners are the ones in, that I got, that have been in this box, that have moved around for so long. And the reason that I like these is because, and the reason I purchased these in the first place was because around that time, 2011, I really got into turntables and vinyl and all that, and I wanted to build myself a stand for it all. I got this Kenwood direct drive KD990 turntable. Really nice direct drive turntable. For I think I got it pretty cheap. And then I got this power amp. This is a handmade power amp this guy up in Harlem made. He made all kinds of different hi-fi components like this. It's got a lot of tubes and transformers back here. It's got a nice copper plate and a big volume knob here. Really nice components, and I got that super cheap too. I just had to I had to take the subway all the way up to Harlem and meet him up there and give him $50 and then carry this thing, and it's enormously heavy with all the transformers on there, so much so that the top plate, the top copper plate, sags a little bit, as you can see. But it's really nice. He made it very well, and it was a deal I couldn't refuse. But so anyway, I built this whole situation here because it's all pretty heavy. I wanted it to be really beefy, so I got the idea of getting these threaded rods here, and you know, you can get these anywhere. You can get them at any of your big box store, hardware stores. And so then I ordered very inexpensive 5/8. What are they? I believe they're 5/8 by 11 jam nuts. Let's see. I can tell you precisely. You want to know? Yeah, 5/8 by 11 jam nuts. I'm not sure exactly where I got this bag of them, but I got a lot because I plan to make more of these. And then a bag of 5/8 zinc plated washers, flat washers. These, it does say Bolt Depot, box of 180 5/8. And so any of your big box hardware stores, you can get these 5/8 threaded rods, and then all you do is get whatever the wood of your choice. If you're at the big box store, you can get them to cut the plywood to your specifications there. I think some will do like 5 cuts for free. This was, at the time I lived in Astoria, Queens at this point, and I walked all the way out to the ass end of Queens, wherever that Home Depot is, and got them to cut these 4 pieces of plywood. And then I took a car service home, and I remember that I waited for the car service because I had these 4. It was a hike out there. And I had these 4 pieces of wood. I didn't have a good way to carry them home, and it would have just been way too far to walk back with this. And I waited for the car service forever, and they didn't show up. I think I had to call them twice. And finally they got there, and I got back, and all in the hallway of the apartment building, I did the drilling and the sanding and put this water-based clear coat on here, which is like a sponge brush. And I remember that I did all the sanding by hand, and so the corners are smooth. And at the end of the day of doing this in the hallway stairwell, in our apartment building at that point, fortunately, there was only one other tenant that lived below us in the building. So we had the 3rd floor, they had the 2nd floor, and the 1st floor was a bodega. And but at the end of the day of doing all the sanding, I went downstairs to get the mail, and the entire stairwell was filled with dust, wood dust from the sanding. And the lady's bike, she had a bicycle downstairs that she kept in the hallway. It was just covered in dust, to my horror. And I had to go in and clean up everything. And I remember thinking that it would just be so nice to be able to build stuff without having those kind of problems. I did the drilling out on the street from the power at the bodega. I borrowed the power from the bodega and took my drill out there. I didn't have a battery powered drill at that point. And put the whole thing together in the stairwell. And it worked great. And my plan was to build many more of these, which is why there was this huge box of fasteners, but we ended up moving away. And honestly, it was such an ordeal of doing the sanding in there, and the cleanup was such a mess that I was kind of over it at that point. But I put all the fasteners away and said, you know what, one day I'll come back to these. And so the way that you do it, and today I'm coming back to these. The way that you do it is you get your 5/8 threaded rod, drill a 5/8 hole through the plywood, sand it down how you like, finish it how you like, if you want to put a varnish on it. I feel like with a lot of this kind of construction grade wood, when you start to apply some kind of stain, I feel like it doesn't look so good. I like it better just the natural way, and a varnish and a clear coat on here. But so then you just take a fastener, put it onto the threaded rod, a jam nut, 5/8 jam nut, washer, plywood, washer, and tighten it down and get it all leveled up to wherever you want. The nice thing is you can move the shelving at any height. There's no restrictions on that so far as, you know, pegs where you have to hang it, or pre-drilled holes with pegs where it has to go, or any of that. You can put them any height you want, and it's super sturdy. It'll hold a lot. So that's the deal with the jam nuts. But the problem is the way that they're stored. Hence these. So my idea was to basically just populate. Oh, here's that IQ test again. There it goes. Populate these with various fasteners and have enough of these so that I can keep most of the things that I use and that I actually want to know where they are. Keep those on hand right here so that I don't have to hunt through boxes like this. And then the next part would be to actually label it so that I can see what's in there at a glance. So that's the plan. That's what all this stuff is about. That's where I'm going with it. How it's going to work out? Not 100% sure, but I would have to say that I like where everything is going so far as the layout. It feels much, much better. The only thing is the area that has the big keyboard, the Doepfer keyboard. It feels like the Doepfer keyboard is a waste over there. I'm not exactly sure what's going to be the outcome with all of that. But overall, it seems to be moving in the right direction. Okay. The idea is to get all of this USB cabling somehow organized. We need two things: to be able to retrieve whatever cable I need easily, but before that, to know where it is. In the past, it's just been all of this. Just everything USB has been in this basket. And that's okay, except that if I want, you know, whatever is in the bottom you can't get to. It's definitely not ideal having them all in a basket like this. And plus, I would rather put some of my percussion things in here that I use all the time. And obviously, using this many USB cables, you're not using them all the time. I need to know where they are, and I need to be able to get to them easily, whatever that one is. It's a lot of USB cables. It's kind of light. Maybe. Maybe instead of the USB cables going in this bin here, I know it seems like, wow, that's a lot of futzing around about where you put your cables and all your stuff. But I mean, it's the only way to do it. If you want to use the space the best you can and have as few of you know, boxes and organizational areas, storage areas, then you kind of have to do it. Kind of have to figure it out. And there's really the only way to do it is just to put the stuff in there, see if it fits, and how it's going to work. So what I'm thinking is that this is another basket that I would like to use also for percussion things, because I'd like to have it right by the drum set so that I could just reach into the basket and get some stuff out, which is never really necessary with all of these different wall warts, whatever they're really called, power supply units. Well, just buy another one of these. It costs like $2 or something. There's only a certain amount of space on the shelves. If I get another one of these, that means there's less space for other things. More narrow. Put all the USB in that, then maybe all of these power supply units will fit nicely in this. So, I don't need all this. I don't need any of this. I need these patch cables, and that's all I need. And this MIDI controller. I need these patch cables and this MIDI controller, and that's all I need. And this tape machine. I need these patch cables, this MIDI controller, and this tape machine, and that's all I need. And this MIDI cable. I need these patch cables, this MIDI controller, this tape machine, and this MIDI cable. And that is all I need. And this bongo drum. And that's all I need. These patch cables, this MIDI controller, the tape machine, the MIDI cable, this bongo drum, and that's all I need. And this wrench. And that's all I need. These patch cables, this tape machine, this MIDI controller, this bongo drum, and this wrench. And that's all I need. And the electrode. And that's all I need. These patch cables, this MIDI controller, bongo drum, tape machine, and the electrode. And that's all I need. I need a tape for the tape machine. Thespian. So, you know that Steve Martin movie, The Jerk. It was supposed to be that everything was simplified here, and I'm not sure we really did that, but I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. So, two more big projects in here. The toolboxes have to go on shelves. I'm going to build some things for that. And this area over here that was such a mess, I'm going to build some shelving with that. That might be the threaded rod business that I did like with the turntable stand. We'll just make separate videos for that. And I think we'll leave this one here. Thanks so much for watching. Your support is most appreciated. I would love to hear some of your comments about like how, you know, you organize your studio, what you use, concepts that you have, products. Anyway, if you found this content useful, consider joining me over at my Patreon. Your support there is most appreciated, but more so than that, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps the channel from what I understand. And most importantly, just thanks for listening. All right. And obviously all I really need is the wrench.